But tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, you have a brother that's a police officer, and this brother is going to confirm what, of course, many of us know. You may say, I know that already, but it's one thing to just say, well, I know this already, versus you hearing direct confirmation to a brother that's in the inside of the police department. And this brother is a police officer in the Atlanta area. So it's a lot of black people. Of course, I got a lot of questions about what this brother about to say, but let's go ahead and check that out.
Uncomfortable truths. Y'all aren't crazy. We do disproportionately police black neighborhoods entirely different than we do white neighborhoods. I am talking about grossly embarrassing. Grossly embarrassing. The resources that we allocate to our white neighborhoods, and I'm sitting out here watching this, makes my heart hurt, and it makes me sick and tired of doing this all day. Every day is pandering to the people in the city with money while we make sure that we don't have to look at black folks too much. Let me kick game to y'all real quick about what I am charged with doing every day from this department. What I'm charged with doing with every day is making sure I keep white folk comfortable. Right? They call all day long as they have moved into these nice condos and we have moved all the black folks out. We call that gentrification. In college, I didn't really understand it. I knew I didn't like it, but I didn't really see what it meant until I became a part of the machine that did it. And this is what we do, right? This is our community. Where do people have to go on a Saturday than to sit outside and chill, to barbecue, to spend time with one another, to hang out up at the corner and talk? This is the culture of the community here. But my job is to make sure that these folks don't have to look at it. That's what I'm charged to do. And I think what happened was I just got to the point, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with doing that anymore. So for all of you who call, stop doing that. This is their community, meaning the people who live here. I don't live here. I live out west. But this is their community. Stop calling 911 because you spent $400,000 on a modern contemporary house with solar panels on the top just because you don't feel like looking at these folks down here on the corner. Stop calling, because if you get me to come, I'm going to come back to the caller and I'm going to ask you, why is it that you don't want to see black folks on the corner? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid. I understand that we still have to engage with criminal activity, but the brother down there barbecuing is not my biggest problem. Stop sending emails all goddamn day long talking about the brother barbecuing. I know he needs a permit, but he's just trying to make a little money to feed his family in the most lawful way that he knows how. The fact that he doesn't have a permit is not the issue. The issue is you don't feel like looking at him. What else?
And shout out to this brother for putting this video out, because that's exactly what they do with the police department. I remember years ago when Tanya was on the show, and if you may be new. So Tanya was a young woman that used to be on our old radio show. She was a white lady and from Arkansas. And, you know, she was really involved in calling out her community because her daughter is black, basically. And so she would really talk about how, you know, a lot of the folks believe that the police are there to keep black people in line, and they feel that the police are supposed to serve them. And anytime they see any kind of black person they deem that shouldn't belong, they picking up the phone and calling. Now, they say calling 911 is like, you know, emergency services, right? But they'll call saying, oh, well, I see this guy, he's just walking. I say, okay, what is he doing? He's walking. Could somebody come out here? I mean, it's not illegal to walk down the street. Or they have a brother sitting outside. Public street, right? I mean, people could sit outside. They'll call police. Oh, I see this man sitting outside and he haven't moved in an hour. You don't know what he's doing, right? Is he harming you? Is he doing anything to you? Is he coming on your property? No, he's just sitting in the street. But if it was a white guy sitting in the street, they're not going to call police, say, I see this guy sitting here. That guy could actually been plotting on them. But they don't care about that. Now, listen, this brother said and admitted they have to police black neighborhoods, or they are policing black areas, definitely with more aggression and way more than they police the white neighborhoods. Now, this brother's in the Atlanta area, which that is more despicable, okay? And this why it goes back to, I always say, the black politician, along with that black preacher, has been some of the greatest enemies in the black community. People point out Pookie and Ray Ray, but Pookie and Ray Ray get caught and they go to prison. These politicians and these preachers, unless they just, you know, finesse a bunch of money, and then you talking about finessing money, look at Tiffany Henyard in Dalton. Look how much money she's been finessing. and she still haven't been locked up yet. Not to say she won't, but look how long it's taken for her to get locked up when everybody knows this woman has been stealing millions and millions of dollars, right? But this black politician is over that police department. So you got your mayor, your police chief, your city council. They give instructions to the police department. And it don't matter if it's Democrat. And a lot of times these cities are Democrat cities, Democrat-run cities. We have black politicians supposed to be our representation. Now, that should not happen in Atlanta or any area we have, quote unquote, representation. But all it is a black face managing the status quo, managing white supremacy. That's all it is at the end of the day. Because that brother may be one of the good ones to go holler at him and say, what you calling for? That brother just out there barbecuing. And for you to even need a quote unquote permit to barbecue, what you need a permit for? If you're outside and you're barbecuing and you're not hurting nobody by doing so, then what you need a permit for? And then somebody say, well, because they starting a fire and all that. If that's the case, why don't you have a permit at your house? Because people barbecue all day long at their house. Outside, that's starting a fire. No, but that's private property. You still can start a fire and burn up everybody else's private property, right? If you want to go there. I don't think people need no permit. Now, I would say if they want to get like a food permit or food handler's permit or certificate, that's one thing. But people should be able to, if they want to sell hot plates, I think they should be able to, because sometimes selling hot plates help you pay their light bill. I remember back in the day, if a person needed help at church or something like that, they would do, barbecue plates, fish fries, and all kind of things they would have to help this brother or sister that's going through it at the church. And nobody had no permit to do that. I'm just saying, like, don't even want to let black people live. And you wonder why. And this brother also is explaining why the incarceration rate for black Americans is so high. Well, if they're aggressively policing black people and they're staying in the black neighborhoods just looking for something, that's why it's so high. We don't have the amount of population to sit up here and justify our numbers being so high in prison. It doesn't even make sense. That's beyond with you. According to the last census numbers that I read, there's 19 million Asians, 47 million black people, 63 million Hispanics, and they say 202 million whites. Okay. Now, the white numbers are interchangeable because they'll count Arabs as white. They'll count Hispanics as white. They break them apart, but at the same time, when it's time to get resources, they put them in the white numbers. But just give those numbers right there. Let's just keep it there without all the technical difficulty. The prisons, the majority of prisoners in this country should be white because there's more people. More people going to commit more crime. That's just the bottom line. I'm not saying the majority is going to commit crime, but it's just a numbers game. If you got 202 million white people, then the majority of the prisons in America should be white. But the reason why the majority of the prisoners in this country isn't white, because this system makes sure that they lessen their charges, or they dismiss their charges, or they can go home on probation, or they give them all kind of chances versus, let's say, the black person who don't get those kind of chances, who are quickly sentenced to jail, even if they first time, they never did nothing their whole life, and they want to sentence them to prison their first time. You can have a repeat offender in the white community and they'll get off, but a black person barely do something, they ready to give them 20 years. So after the white people, you have Hispanic. According to those numbers, Hispanic should be the number 2 incarcerated person in this country. Then after that would be black people. Then after that would be Asians. But if you look at what's represented, black people represent about half of the incarcerated people in this country. But this police officer is telling you why. They're not overly policing the Asian community. They're definitely not doing it to the white community. They're not doing it to the Hispanic community. They're doing it to the black one. And that's why I take so much issue with these black politicians. And I take so much issue about the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party claim that they for everybody, they're about inclusion and protecting democracy. Is it democracy to be policing the black area more than anybody else? When they have proven crime is equal in all communities, nobody's more criminal than the other. They have proven that by statistics. Where is a democracy for black people? You are treating black people like an authoritarian regime to black people, but everybody else gets democracy. Y'all want to know why I go so hard against the Democrat Party? That's why. Because our people vote Democrat. Our people, the politicians, the majority of them are Democrats. Y'all more hardcore about Clarence Thomas at the Supreme Court, which, I mean, he's only one vote in the Supreme Court. You more hardcore about Clarence Thomas and what he's doing versus these black mayors or city council people or black police chiefs or some of these black police officers. Look at, remember Tyree Nichols? He lost his life by black police officers. It wasn't white, it was black. And they found the status quo. They did him no different than what Derek Chauvin and the other ones did to George Floyd. The problem that I have with black folks is when black people do things like that, you're not ready to have the same reaction. Only if a white person do it, then you're ready to have a reaction. Tyree Nichols lost his life. Yes, those guys are fired. Yes, those guys was charged. Yes, I get that. Chauvin was not fired. He was not charged immediately. I get that too. Trust me, I get it 2,000%. But the fact is, we should be more angry with the politicians than even the police. The politicians, because a lot of times these police be having all kind of complaints and disciplinary issues, and they don't do nothing about it. They do nothing about it. So we as a people got to keep speaking up about this, especially to them black politicians. You got a black mayor. You got like the Brandon Johnsons of the world. What his name in Atlanta, Andre Dickens of the world. He was supporting Cop City. How are you supposed to be supporting Cop City, and who are they training for? They're not training to go mess with white people. Look at all these people running around here talking about actually celebrating and promoting Hamas of all things in this country. You would think they ran down on them. But if it were black people out here supporting Hamas or joining with that, oh, they would charge black people all kind of terrorism on the federal level. But you got all these Palestinian people running down in Chicago right now at the DNC, but they're not treating them like they'll treat us. Oh, no, they pull out all the new weapons they got, all the new crowd control stuff on us. But with them, they let them do what they do. They arrest them, of course, but they don't do them like they do us. But that is the status quo. The status quo in America is oppression to black people, and everybody else get to live halfway. And I say halfway decent. But other groups do realize I do not want to be treated like them. All the groups recognize that. They don't want to be treated like us, but nobody want to say, hey, let's do something about it. Because I always tell people this. They perfect it on us, then they do it to you. That's how it always happens. And now people are crying because economic deprivation, they perfected it on us. Now you're dealing with that too. And if you think you're not going to deal with the abuse and oppression, if you think you're not going to deal with that, or it's coming to you too, you better believe that, because you